space bar to get it rolling.
You need to stop it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start it over.
No, it was fine.
No, it's okay.
That was the first.
Can you
You're
lower
invited
your
to
chair just a
participate
touch?
in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fields. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
Welcome. This is LCM TV, not your normal news at noon. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
In today's top stories, Takata is nearly doubling the size of its already massive recall for faulty airbags, making it the largest auto recall in history and one of the largest consumer product recalls ever. The company has already recalled airbags used in about 18 million vehicles for the problem. This will bring the number up to 34 million autos. That is nearly 1 out of every 7 cars on the U.S. roads. At least 5 deaths have been tied to the faulty airbags, but Takata has previously resisted demands by regulators to get the affected airbags off the road. The airbags have been known to explode and send shrapnel into the face and body of both the driver and front seat passenger. Victims appear to have been shot or stabbed, according to police who respond to the accidents. Most of the fatalities and most of the recalled cars were made by Honda, but dozens of other different models are affected, most of which were built between 2000 and 2011. Consumers can check to see if their car is included in the recall by going to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website, which is at www.safercar.gov/rs/Takata. Car makers affected are BMW, Chrysler, Daimler Trucks, Ford, General Motors, Honda, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Subaru, and Toyota. It's not yet known what is causing the airbags to explode, admitted Mark Rosekind, administrator of the NHTSA. Rosekind could not even definitely say whether the airbags being installed in the recall cars are totally safe. But we know they are safer, he said. The agency fined Takata $14,000 a day, the maximum for failing to cooperate with its probe. That's added up to $1.2 million as of Tuesday. The daily fines were suspended Tuesday, but further fines are possible. Before this, the biggest recall on record was from Ford, which recalled 21 million cars in 1980 for a transmission problem that could allow cars to shift out of park. This is according to Clarence Ditlow, Executive Director of the Center for Auto Safety.
Federal, state, and local officials responded to a 4-mile-wide oil slick that poured from a ruptured pipeline into the waters off Refugio State Beach in Santa Barbara County on Tuesday. A pungent smell wafted across the coastline from the spilled oil on the popular beach about 20 miles west of downtown Santa Barbara. U.S. Coast Guard crews were responding to an unknown sheen at Refugio. The sheen was from a ruptured pipeline on the shore side that had been secured. The Coast Guard officer later confirmed. The Coast Guard stated that it would oversee cleanup of the oil. The Coast Guard also said that Exxon was responding, but ExxonMobil spokesman Christian Flathman said the pipeline was not one of the companies and the company was not responding. Houston-based Plains All-American Pipeline was later identified as the responsible party. Initial reports stated that 21,000 gallons had flowed into the ocean. The Los Angeles Times reported that, citing Coast Guard officials, the number has now been changed to an unknown amount greater than originally stated. Luckily, the source has been stopped, and now it's just a cleanup effort. Hopefully, they can get that done quickly, says Coast Guard Lieutenant Jonathan McCormick, according to KTLA. No impacts to wildlife were immediately reported, according to the California Office of Spill Prevention and Response, which is part of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. In 1969, a spill in the same area launched an environmental movement.
On May 16th, Tianjin University professor Hao Zhang was arrested upon entry into the United States from the People's Republic of China in connection with an indictment, announced Assistant Attorney General for National Security John P. Carlin, U.S. Attorney Melinda Haig of the Northern District of California, and Special Agent in Charge David Johnson of the FBI San Francisco Division. The 32-count indictment, which had previously been sealed, charges a total of 6 individuals with economic espionage and theft of trade secrets for their roles in a long-running effort to obtain U.S. trade secrets for the benefit of universities and companies controlled by the Chinese government. According to the charges in the indictment, the defendants leveraged their access and knowledge of sensitive U.S. technologies to illegally obtain and share U.S. trade secrets with the People's Republic of China for economic advantage. This is said Assistant Attorney General Carlin. Economic espionage imposes great costs on American businesses, weakens the global marketplace, and ultimately harms U.S. interests worldwide. According to the indictment, Chinese nationals Wei Peng and He Zhang met at U.S. University in Southern California during the doctoral studies in electrical engineering. While there, Peng and Zhang conducted research and development on thin film bulk acoustic resonator, or FBAR, technology under funding from the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, commonly known as DARPA. After earning their doctorate in approximately 2005, Peng accepted employment as an FBAR engineer with Avago Technologies in Colorado, and Zhang accepted employment as the FBAR engineer with Skyworks Solutions, Inc. in Massachusetts. The stolen trade secrets alleged in the indictment belong to Avago or Skyworks.
An official with the Department of Marines and Ports told CNN that the Norwegian Dawn cruise ship has run aground near Bermuda. None of the people on board are injured, and the ship isn't taking on water, according to initial reports. Chief Maritime Operations Controller Dennis Rowe said. Petty Officer Lenola Stone of the Coast Guard of Massachusetts told CNN the ship had 3,737 people on board, 2,675 passengers, and 1,062 crew members. Norwegian Cruise Line said that the ship still had power and its team was assessing the situation. Norwegian Dawn temporarily lost power as the ship was departing Kings Wharf, Bermuda. The ship's propulsion was affected, and at which time the vessel made contact with the channel bed. All guests and crew are safe, said a spokesperson. Twitter user Rachel Hansen posted photos from the ship. In one, it appears crew members are being lowered into a small vessel into the water to inspect the ship. Rose said the ship is stable and there appeared to be no damage or pollution to the water. Tugboats and a dive team were headed to the scene. The incident happened Tuesday evening in the island's North Channel. The Norwegian Dawn originally sailed from Boston to Bermuda, according to Norwegian Cruise Line's website. It is 965 feet long and weighs 92 tons. Stone said it's unclear if the ship will continue to its next destination or if the passengers will need to disembark.
On Sunday, a Twin Peaks restaurant at a popular shopping center in South Waco was supposed to be the setting for a meeting of Texas branch of the Confederation of Clubs and Independents, an umbrella group under which various motorcycle groups discuss issues of mutual interest. We have been doing this for 18 years and we have never had a problem, said Gimme Jimmy, National Ambassador for the Bandidos and the State Chairman for the Texas Confederation of Clubs and Independents, which oversees the local branches. We discuss things like biker rights, but no individual club business is talked about. The police on Monday were still sorting out what had happened at the restaurant, and local officials were beginning an extraordinary booking process, arresting and charging about 170 people they had detained after the fight. The restaurant where the biker groups had gathered, a chain known for scantily clad waitresses, continued to face scrutiny over its handling of security. The Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission suspended the restaurant's license for 1 week, and its corporate headquarters revoked its franchise agreement. After the shooting, the state-run Texas Joint Crime Information Center issued an advisory that members of the Banditos and the Cossacks reportedly have been instructed to arm themselves with weapons and travel to North Texas. The bulletin said officers throughout Texas should be aware of the escalating violence between both groups and are to consider all Banditos and Cossacks members as armed and dangerous.
A group of 4 cancer philanthropies bilked donors across the country out of $187 million. The Federal Trade Commission charged Tuesday in what the agency called one of the largest government actions against charity fraud. The 4 groups named in the civil complaint are the Cancer Fund of America, Cancer Support Services, the Children's Cancer Fund of America, and the Breast Cancer Society. Their operations from 2008 to 2012, which were called a sham by the FTC, relied on emotional appeals to help women and children with cancer. The scheme was a family effort, according to the complaint. Each of the charities was run by either James Reynolds Sr., his ex-wife Rose Perkins, or his son James Reynolds Jr. The charities solicited donations through telemarketing and websites telling donors that their money would help patients by paying for their pain medications, their hospice services, and other care. The overwhelming majority of the money benefited only the charities' organizers, their friends, and fundraisers, according to the complaint from the FTC and the Attorney Generals of all 50 states. Less than 5% of the money went to gifts and financial assistance for the patients.
After a victory lap lasted several weeks, David Letterman will hang it up tonight after 33 years on the air as a late-night host. For the finale, the show has not revealed any guests, but is promising surprises, memorable highlights in the show's final top 10 list, much to the dismay of his fans who are not ready to say goodbye. Coming up next, folks, is the regional news. We'll be right back.
You are invited to participate in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fields. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
In regional news, a California prostitute charged with killing a Google executive with an overdose of heroin aboard his yacht pleaded guilty Tuesday to involuntary manslaughter and administering drugs. A Santa Cruz County Superior Court judge sentenced Alex Tishelman to 6 years in prison under a plea deal that included reducing a manslaughter charge. Authorities say Tishelman injected Forrest Timothy Hayes with heroin in November 2013, then left without seeking help when he passed out on the yacht. Hayes had hired Tishelman several times before they were doing drugs and having sex the night he died. Defense attorney Larry Bigman said Tishelman was relieved to have the court proceedings behind her, and she is expected to serve only 3 years. She will be credited for nearly a year already served. Tishelman agreed to the plea deal in light of the evidence. According to her lawyer, it was an accidental overdose between 2 consenting adults. A surveillance video at the Santa Cruz harbor showed the woman gather her belongings, casually step over Hayes' body, finish a glass of wine, and lower a blind before leaving the yacht the night before the body was found. Tishelman had been preparing to move out of California when she was arrested. She had wealthy parents and dual citizenship in the U.S. and Canada.
San Francisco police arrested 11 people during this year's Bay to Breakers Run, a major foot race more known for colorful costumes and overconsumption than finish times. The San Francisco Chronicle reports that police operated 5 alcohol checkpoints along the 7.46-mile course. About 50,000 people participated in the foot race, starting downtown and finishing at Ocean Beach. The race is a fun affair, with elite runners finishing in less than an hour, but most participants taking a leisurely stroll. Police issued citations for public drunkenness, failure to disperse, resisting arrest, and fighting to some participants and spectators, but posed for photos with others.
Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom came to Oakland yesterday to discuss the role of youth education and prevention in the ongoing efforts to legalize cannabis in California. Newsom spoke out this morning at a public forum organized by the American Civil Liberties Union's Blue Ribbon Commission on Marijuana Policy, which is hosting a series of meetings this year on legalization. Yesterday, Newsom and ACLU officials speaking at Youth Uprising in East Oakland were addressing claims that ending cannabis prohibition sends the wrong message to youth and would lead to increased access and use. Pot law reformers have long argued that the criminal justice system is more harmful to the youth than marijuana, and that teens' access to marijuana has been high for decades due to the fact that the market is unregulated. By contrast, advocates say, public health efforts aimed at decreasing tobacco and alcohol use by youth have proven to be much more effective. Newsom has emerged as the national leader for marijuana law reform and is the face of the ACLU's Blue Ribbon Commission, which is a group of policymakers, public health experts, and academics dedicated toward developing policy solutions to the challenges associated with marijuana taxation and legalization. The ACLU and Newsom are part of what is expected to be the most credible effort to legalize cannabis for adults 21 and over in the year 2016 in California, a massive undertaking that may cost as much as $20 million. A majority of Californians support legalization, but the details of dueling proposals, including tax rates, growing limits, licensing requirements, and local bans, have split supporters along ideological lines.
The nation's second largest city voted on Tuesday to increase its minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2020, in what is perhaps the most significant victory so far in the national push to raise minimum wage. The increase, which the Los Angeles City Council passed in a 14-1 vote, comes after San Francisco and Oakland passed similar increases. The impact is likely to be particularly strong in Los Angeles, where according to some estimates, more than 40% of the city's workforce earns less than $15 an hour. Tuesday's vote could set off a wave of minimum wage increases across Southern California, and the groups pressing for the increases say the new pay scales would change the way of life for the region's vast low-wage workforce.
The next 3 weeks are a critical period for the future of cannabis in California. Between now and June 5th, members of the State Assembly will decide the fate of 3 important measures. These bills seek to regulate cannabis cultivation in a very different and potentially dangerous way. The Emerald Growers Association announced yesterday the bills they support and do not support. They support AB 34, which is now joint authored by Assembly members Rob Bonta and Reggie Jones Sawyer. The two have combined efforts to bring the most comprehensive and solution-oriented legislation California has seen, identifying regulatory agencies, calling on those agencies to develop a system of licensing, and most importantly, it calls on the Department of Food and Agriculture to take a lead role in regulating cultivation. This bill also protects patients while providing pathways to regulation for small farms and businesses. The EGA does oppose AB 266, which is sponsored by the League of Cities and the police chiefs. AB 266 is based on former SB 1262 from last year. The bill fails to provide a workable transition for California's craft cultivators and imposes unreasonable disclosure requirements on applicants for conditional cultivation licenses. It also prohibits people convicted of cultivation from getting licenses to cultivate in the regulated marketplace. The bill would choke small businesses, disrupt patients' access, and cost communities the living wage jobs that cannabis farms support. The EGA supports, if amended, AB 243, which would establish a regulatory permitting process to expand best practices on cannabis farms in California. As California continues to endure an unprecedented drought and adapt to a changing climate, this bill would provide guidance and consistency to the cannabis industry that has historically been forced to operate without either. This bill would ensure the Water Board is able to increase efforts to implement watershed protection programs while empowering the Interagency Watershed Enforcement Team to target environmental crimes. In the EGA's opinion, AB 243 is an important complement to AB 34. The two bills together would mark an important step on the transition to a well-regulated and sustainable cannabis industry in California. The next few weeks will be especially exciting for the community. The EGA's volunteer leaders have generated a new understanding and appreciation of cannabis farmers and small business leaders in California. And they have created the political will it takes to move a balanced legislative agenda forward in the state. The future does look promising for the cannabis industry.
I hope so. Yeah,
It'd be nice to see.
it would be. On another note, E&J Gallo Winery announced Tuesday that it has purchased 642 acres in Napa Valley as the nation's #1 vintner makes further inroads into the Northern California wine industry. The Modesto-based company said an affiliate bought the Cypress Ranch and a portion of the Palisades Vineyard, representing 258 acres of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Zinfandel, and Malbec vineyards. The property is next to the company's Sun Lake Vineyard, where it farms 100 acres of planted vineyards. The purchase price was not disclosed. The purchase of Cypress Ranch and Palisades Vineyard continues Gallo's commitment to having vineyards in the premier wine-growing appellations in California. The deal comes after Gallo in March announced it had bought Hillsburg-based J Vineyards and Winery, which was founded almost 30 years ago by Judy Jordan and carved out its name through high-end sparkling wine. That sale also included more than 300 acres spread over 9 vineyards within the Sonoma Coast and Russian River Valley American viticulture areas. Analysts applauded the J purchase because they said it would give Gallo more play in the premium sparkling market. Last year, Gallo purchased 2 North Coast properties totaling more than 500 acres in Solano County. It owned more than 3,000 acres in Sonoma County prior to the J Vineyards and Winery purchase, and in 2012 bought Snows Lake Vineyard in the Red Hills AVA in Lake County. The 2,000-acre purchase was reported at $42 million, for an average price of $21,000 per acre. Only 800 acres are planted to grapevines. However, for an adjusted value of $52,500 per planted acre, which is a record in Lake County. Coming up next is local news. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
In local news, on Friday, May 16th at approximately 9 a.m., Clear Lake Police Officer Michael Dietrich was dispatched to the Clear Lake Veterinary Clinic in response to a 9-month-old Labrador Retriever named Roxy with injuries believed to have been caused by physical abuse. It had been reported that Roxy had been thrown to the ground by 35-year-old Clear Lake resident Michael Truscott and sustained a severely broken jaw with bones protruding from her face. An investigation was conducted which led to the location and arrest of Truscott for a felony violation of animal cruelty. Truscott was subsequently booked into Lake County Jail with bail set at $15,000. Roxy is currently under the care of Clear Lake Veterinary Clinic for the injuries sustained from Truscott. Funds are needed to obtain surgery to repair the damage to Roxy. A donation account is in place for treatment and care for Roxy. If anyone is interested, donations can be mailed to Clear Lake Veterinary Clinic at 3424 Emerson Street in Clear Lake, California, zip code of 95422, or directly to the City of Clear Lake Animal Control, which is located at 14050 Olympic Drive in Clear Lake, also with a zip code 95422. At this time, a report is being forwarded to the Lake County District Attorney's Office for review where charges are being sought against Truscott.
Lightning struck a Clear Lake home Sunday night, causing damage to its roof, but leaving the occupants uninjured, fire officials said. The strike on the 2-story home on Mira Vista Drive happened just before 6 p.m. when storm clouds blew into the area, said Captain Bill Inman of the Lake County Fire Protection District. He said a single bolt struck the roof above the master bedroom, leaving a 10 by 15 hole, blowing out windows. Damage was estimated at more than $15,000. It did a pretty good number on it, Inman said. There was no fire, but the house suffered serious interior damage and lost all electrical power, he said. The brief storm brought light rain and hail to parts of the county.
An activist group in Ukiah is considering starting a nationwide boycott and picketing of the Home Depot stores nationwide by beginning with the Home Depot in Ukiah. Home Depot is the exclusive supplier to the public of Mendocino Redwood's Smartwood. MRC's harvesting practices are not considered sustainable, and the group wishes to show their disapproval of this company's forestry practices. Part of our strategy is to impact their sales by having a boycott and informational picket at Home Depots across the state and nationwide if possible, according to organizer Dennis O'Brien of the Mendocino Environmental Center. He said since the store is local and right in MRC's hometown, and since we are here, it seems to us to be a good place to start. If we can get folks to stop buying MRC's products, we will impact their bottom line and cause MRC to reconsider their practices. Also, it would help if Home Depot, feeling the pressure of negative publicity through news and outlets and over the internet, would influence MRC. The Mendocino Redwood Company has spent money on a campaign to market their products. Some of that money, $750,000, came from the Headwaters grant, monies earmarked to retrain mill workers and loggers.
A semi-truck reportedly toppled on a Highway 101 near Willits Tuesday morning after the driver reached for his coffee cup, the California Highway Patrol reported. According to the CHP, the driver of a 2016 Peterbilt truck tractor-trailer was hauling a log of dry foods north of Highway 101, just north of Monica Lane, approaching Willits, when he diverted his attention from the road to put his coffee cup back in its holder around 4 a.m. Tuesday. The driver, identified as Patrick M. Byers, said he felt his truck pulling onto the right shoulder of the roadway. He tried to steer the truck back onto the highway, Byers said. The trailer started to tip over and pulled the truck onto its side. The vehicle came to rest on the right shoulder and within a travel lane of the highway. Byers suffered minor injuries, but was able to extricate himself. The collision caused traffic backups on Highway 101 in both directions for several hours. The Ukiah CHP office would like to remind drivers that driving is a complex task that requires a motorist's full attention. Anything that diverts the driver's eyes or attention from the roadway, even for 1 or 2 seconds, could result in a tragedy. The bottom line, the CHP notes, is that whatever the distraction, whether it's text or coffee cup, it's not worth it.
Don't go for that coffee.
I like my coffee.
Assemblymember Bill Dodd addressed the Assembly Budget Subcommittee on Resources and Transportation in a continued attempt to secure much-needed funding to help and protect and improve our Clear Lake. In response, the subcommittee approved $1 million in funds to be included in the Assembly budget for 2015 to 2016. Clear Lake is a state treasure, and the fight to restore it will be a long one. We've come a long way in raising the awareness of this issue, which can no longer be ignored in Sacramento. People are taking note, and sooner or later we will see Clear Lake get the increased resources it needs. Assemblymember Dodd is pursuing multiple events to secure critical funding for Clear Lake. Dodd's petition to the Budget Subcommittee to appropriate additional funds in the state budget toward restoration of the lake accompanies his bill AB 367, which seeks to allocate funds for water quality improvement, wetland restoration, and protection against invasive species. Assemblymember Dodd has been working closely with Senator Mike McGuire to accomplish these goals, and Senate Budget Subcommittee will consider similar appropriation for the lake in late May. Assemblymember Dodd brought Assemblymember Richard Bloom, the chair of subcommittee, to tour Clear Lake, which provided a first-hand look at the issues facing our lake. He said you cannot visit Clear Lake without getting a keen sense of its environmental and economic importance to the communities of Clear Lake and Lake County. I'd like to thank Assemblymember Bloom and the members of the subcommittee for their support in addressing the problems of Clear Lake.
Local mindfulness teacher, author, and life coach Joanne Sacato will present a free workshop based on her 8-week compassion-based Mindfulness for Peace, Clarity, and Freedom course. The workshop will be held at Harbin Hot Springs, 18424 Harbin Springs Road in Middletown on Sunday, May 24th from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in the Temple. The event is free, though attendees must be registered as a guest at Harbin. At the workshop, Ms. Sacato will provide information on the history and stress-reducing benefits of mindfulness practice, as well as guide participants through 2 mindfulness exercises. Mindfulness is a body-based practice that invites one to pay kind, non-judgmental attention to a direct experience of the senses, thoughts, and emotions. Studies indicate that mindfulness can help reduce stress and stress-related illnesses, increase focus and attention, decrease instances of and relapses with depression, help reduce anxiety, aid the immune system, and aid in sleep and digestive disorders. Mindfulness has been shown to help with addictive and compulsive disorders. Participants are encouraged to wear comfortable clothing and be ready for gentle movement exercises. Ms. Sacato is the author of Companioning the Sacred Journey, a guide to creating a compassionate container for your spiritual practice, and her forthcoming book, Compassion-Based Mindfulness for Peace, Clarity, and Freedom. For more information on Ms. Sacato and Emotional Freedom courses, visit www.compassion-basedmindfulness.com or call 707-350-1719. For more information on visiting Harbin Hot Springs, visit www.harbin.org. In California, the first week of May has come to represent the beginning of wildfire season, with events to raise awareness of the dangers to come. This year, however, is different. The ongoing drought, the continued mismanagement of forest lands, and the strange funding formula for fire prevention have led to a year-round wildfire season in California. The Sonoma Lake Napa Unit of California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, also known as CAL FIRE, held their annual fire crew preparedness exercises in Lake County this month.
The ones you'll see in orange that should be hiking
Yes.
back in are on the crew buses.
And those are the ones that are in the Conservation Corps?
Yeah, they're custodial.
Custodial. How do you term it? Custodial?
Well, they're custodial inmates.
Okay,
yes.
inmates. Yeah.
But they are firefighters for us.
Nice.
They're the ones that are generally cutting the lines through the brush and a lot of the
They do
chainsaw
the hard work.
They do a lot of hard work. They do a great job. So there are a couple of engine crews that are working together in strike team, what we call strike team formation, and they have a simulated accident on the side of the hill where a firefighter's down, and they're going to work together to do what we would call a low-angle rope rescue.
Okay.
They will use a rope and pulley system that they set up and move the firefighter up the hill to safety, basically. So it's a semi-technical rescue.
Yeah,
for them.
exactly. That's a very
and
good
we're using
exercise.
engine crews that don't necessarily get to work together often, so
Okay.
they have to coordinate amongst themselves to accomplish this.
These exercises provide the opportunity for 11 fire crews from the 2 conservation camps to be evaluated on their physical conditioning, firefighting knowledge, fire safety, and personal protective equipment. In addition, local crews who have not had direct rescue experience got to get some hands-on in that department. The exercises were held at the Konocti Camp and on Point Lakeview Road.
The 16th annual Bloody Island Memorial Forgiveness Ceremony and potluck dinner dance was a success once more. Friday's night's potluck and traditional pomo dance at the Robinson Rancheria Gym brought about 100 participants who enjoyed dancing, singing, and spending time with family and friends in remembrance of the ancestors of the Pomo people, the majority of the tribe that was slaughtered by white settlers, and those who have passed on since those who also survived the Bloody Island Massacre on May 15, 1850. The gathering for the forgiveness ceremony began at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, and after prayers and song at the memorial site, the multi-ethnic crowd gathered for breakfast. One of the Pomo participants stated that it feels good to know the ancestors of my family and friends, regardless of ethnic group, who have passed on during my lifetime were there, and I hope it made them feel good to watch us pay reverence to them and our Creator. This event inspires much good feelings, and I am so glad that I attended this year. I love my Indian heritage. It was so awesome to share it and to see that so many different ethnic groups pay homage to our ancestors. This goes to show there is only one true race, the human race. I want to be around more events like this. The feeling I have right now is amazing. Clayton Duncan and his brother Douglas are the descendants of Lucy Moore, one of the few survivors of the Bloody Island Massacre. She survived by hiding under the water of the lake and using a reed to breathe, as all her family and tribe were slaughtered. They have organized this event for the last 16 years. We will be back after this short message with your local weather.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
In the summertime.
In local weather, rain will be spotty throughout the rest of the week with a 10% chance of rain today and tonight. It will be generally sunny despite a few afternoon clouds. A high of 74 and winds from the south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight there will be mostly cloudy skies with the low of 52. Winds will be from the south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. On Thursday, the chance of rain will be 10%, increasing to 20% Thursday night. There will be intervals of clouds and sunshine with the high of 72. Winds will stay out of the south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. In the evening, there will be a few clouds. The low will be 53, winds shifting to the southwest at also 10 to 15 miles per hour. Friday, the chance of rain drops back down to 10% and will remain that way through the weekend, with some sun in the morning and increasing clouds during the afternoon. There will be a high of 74, winds back out of the south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour.
And folks, if you didn't hear that, we have an office dog here, Sydney. She was just voicing her opinion in the background. In sports, Stephon Curry hit 2 free throws in the final seconds to finish with 34 points as the Golden State Warriors rallied from 16 points down in the second quarter to beat the Houston Rockets 110-106 on Tuesday night in Game 1 of the Western Conference Final. With the Rockets seemingly ready to rout the home team, the Warriors went to a smaller lineup and closed the first half on a 21-4 run. Sean Livingston scored 14 of his 18 points in the quarter, helping Golden State go ahead 58-55 at halftime. James Harden, the runner-up to Curry in the MVP voting, nearly brought the Rockets back after Dwight Howard departed with a left knee injury. Harden finished with 28 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals. Game 2 is Thursday night in Oakland. Raiders owner Mark Davis walked into a makeshift black hole outside the Ritz-Carlton, joining a throng of protesters and press, and vowed to do all he can to keep his team in Oakland. This said, even as he and the Chargers owner Dean Spanos moved ahead on plans for a stadium project in Southern California, the land they have purchased closed yesterday. Davis said he will know by June 21st from the City of Oakland and Alameda County about a possible preliminary financing plan for $400 million to build a new stadium in the East Bay. He said it would cost $900 million. He has a $500 million commitment, Davis told the crowd. I'm trying all I can to keep this team in Oakland. Davis would like to build near the current rundown Oakland Coliseum that the Raiders share with the baseball's Oakland Athletics. He said he had a 3-hour dinner last week with Oakland City Council President. Davis reiterated he has no plans to sell the team in his lifetime, nor consider moving it to St. Louis. I'm going to remain controlling owner of the Raiders, Davis said. The Raiders, they are my father's life. It means a lot to me to perpetuate his legacy and bring his organization back to greatness. Buster Posey drove in a run. Tib Hudson allowed 5 hits over 6 1/3 innings, and the San Francisco Giants won the 4th straight, beating Los Angeles Dodgers 2-0 on Tuesday night. Joe Panik and Angel Pagan had 2 hits each for the Giants, who have won 11 of their past 14 home games. Hudson, who's now 2-3 on the season, did not allow a run for the first time since his first start of the season on April 9th. He walked 2 and struck out 2. The Dodgers have lost 4 of 6 overall and 5 of 7 to the Giants. The Giants' win cut the Dodgers' lead over the Giants to 3.5 games. The Giants play the Dodgers again tonight with a start time of 7:15. Athletics starter Sonny Gray, who is 4-2, yielded 3 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings Tuesday to take the loss against the Astros by a score of 6-4. Gray served up a homer to Chris Carter in the second inning, a 2-run shot that hit the facade. After winning his first 4 decisions of the year, Gray has now dropped his last 2. The A's play Houston again this evening.
And with our final word, millions of baby spiders appear to be raining from the sky in the southern tablelands town of Goulburn in the Australian territory of New South Wales earlier this month, with one astonished local fearing the region had been invaded by spiders and another reporting his home was covered in the creatures. Goulburn resident Ian Watson said his house looked like it had been abandoned and taken over by spiders. The whole place was covered in these little black spiderlings, and when I looked up at the sun, it was like this tunnel of webs going up for a couple hundred meters into the sky. Naturalist Martin Robinson from the Australian Museum said 2 migration techniques associated with spiders explain why locals might have thought it was raining spiders. The first, a dispersal technique called ballooning, is more commonly used by baby spiders, although some adults use it as well. The spider climbs to the top of vegetation and releases a streamer of silk that catches on the breeze and carries the spider aloft. Spiders have been caught flying like this up to 3 kilometers above the ground. Robinson said this is why every continent has spiders. Even in Antarctica, they regularly turn up but just die. The second phenomenon linked to angel hair or gossamer, which can occur at the same time as ballooning, usually happens after heavy rains or floods. When the ground gets waterlogged, the spiders that live either on the surface of the ground or in burrows in the ground come up into the foliage to avoid drowning. This is according to Robinson. Much like baby spiders searching for a new home, the ground spiders throw silk snag lines up into the air, and when they catch, they use these to haul themselves up and out of the water. He emphasized that it was unlikely any of the species of spiders involved in these phenomena were harmful. There is nothing to worry about. They'll all disperse once the weather conditions warm up.
You know what the problem is? I used to spend many days in Goulburn. Thank God I never saw that. Whew. Thanks for joining us, folks. This is LCM TV News. Can be seen Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon live here at lcm-tv.com and anytime on our 2015 archive page at lakehomagazine.com. Join us again on Friday at noon. The next live show's broadcast will be at Pasha Space at 3 p.m. Friday and The Bridge with Sister T at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Her guest will be David Hines from Steel Pulse. Really? That's cool. Who will be performing at this year's Sierra Nevada World Music Festival. And don't forget to check Lake County Magazine for all your local news and information daily at lakecomagazine.com. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger. Have a great day.
Me too.
Excellent, guys. That's a